I'm not sure if Darren's ever gotten to start a call with actual Bad Boys song, but
No, I
last
have
week was
not.
last.
That would
Well,
have been good.
you finally checked the last box right on the bucket list. But yeah, last week was Bone Thugs and Harmony. I'm not sure if that would have been appropriate, but for this conversation. But welcome everybody on LinkedIn and Instagram Live. We have our third Fraudcast. It is August 15th, 2025. For the next 30 minutes, we're going to be talking about topics in automotive fraud. And every week we'll have folks from MAVSIGN that are facilitating the conversation, and then we have a special guest to talk about just pertinent topics in the fraud side of the auto business. And hopefully we can have some fun with it. And let's start, making fun of the fraudsters instead of the fraudsters laughing at us. And so our special guest today is the one and only Darren Schlosser of the Houston Police
Yay.
Department, the Auto Theft Division, and he's got some special announcements on what's happening with his career. But the purpose of this discussion today is we're going to talk to Darren about from the law enforcement side. Like, we can talk about how we help you, not get busted, get defrauded by the bad guys. But Darren actually gets to tell us what we do to the bad guys when we catch them, which is I always get questions from dealers like, "Hey, Rudy, like, if you catch them, can we go beat them up, or are you going to beat them up, or something like that?" And we have some fun conversations there. So now we can really like have some substance to it. So this is the guy that goes in and does some of the enforcement. So, anyways, I'm joined by my co-host Thane, founder and EVP of MAVSIGN, and he's obviously been on some of these broadcasts before, and he's been in the trenches with Darren for way longer than me in preventing fraud. So I'm sure they'll have some good stories together. So Darren, thank you for joining. I think we're honored to have somebody from law enforcement that supports our platform, and also just in general is all about helping dealers, and that's a good thing for everybody. So thank you for joining, Darren.
Absolutely. I'm very happy to be here.
So Darren, I guess for starters, just take us down the path. You and I talked a little bit about your career. Tell us that story of how you came into law enforcement, right? Just in the beginning, what got you into wanting to stop the bad guys?
It's a very interesting career. I've loved my career from the very, very beginning. So somewhere back in 1995, I had zero intentions on being a policeman. Went on a ride along with a buddy of mine on night shift patrol in a very, let's say, sketchy part of town. We got to do all kinds of cool things, such as he let me help pull over a car and kind of look through it and see what we had going on. We went to disturbance calls and just a bunch of little things. And little did I know that's like a random Tuesday. I thought it was the most exciting thing that ever happened. But it was, looking back on history, it was a very boring night. But that's what took me down this road. I was not in the best of health or shape at the time, and I had to put on a pair of running shoes the next day, and ended up being on the police academy in 1996. Started my career on the streets in 1997 in an area of Houston we call Third Ward. That's was a night shift patrol for about 10 years there. Did 3 years as an officer in robbery division. Got a lot of great experience there, lots of good investigations. 2010, after 3 years, I did a promotional test and became a sergeant. Went back on the streets for just a very short period of time, and then got a call to the jail. So when I say I did a year in jail, it means I had to work it. I didn't actually spend as an inmate. So let me clarify that one. Anyway, did a year in the jail, which was my minimum required time, and then went into financial crimes. So from 2011 to 2013, I was in financial crimes, and that's where I got my feet wet in this world, realizing just how incredibly invasive fraud was. Did a couple years internal affairs, and then in 2015, I came to auto theft. Now, at the time in auto theft, I was doing regular reactive, and then an opportunity came up to do what we called at the time was vehicle financial crimes. A lot of what we did was somebody had their car broken into, a credit card was used to go buy things, and then we followed up. Well, if you think about that logistics of that, First off, try going to a Walmart employee 6 weeks later after the crime happened and say, hey, do you remember that guy that came in on a Tuesday morning at 10 a.m. and bought $100 worth of stuff? Well, that's a big no. So the solvability factors were very, very low. The evidence was very, very low because it's usually a grainy surveillance image of some sort. However, I started noticing that vehicle fraud in the dealership world, we were getting a few of those cases, but I knew there had to be a lot more. So I decided to request from my captain at the time, hey, can we focus on this a bit more? And at the time, he was completely on board. He said, do what you feel like you need to do to make that happen. Because what we were looking at is instead of doing a couple $100 to $1,000 worth of credit card abuse, now we're seeing cars that were $50,000, $75,000, $100,000 in one whack. So also in that same world, there's evidence now. You have the contract, you have the credit application, you have the picture, the ID of the person. So you had all this going on. So I said, well, let me start reaching out to the dealership industry, seeing if we can find more of these cases, see if we can see if there's more to do with this. So I had a meeting with our local Houston Automobile Dealers Association. It was a luncheon, just a 4-person lunch. And I explained to them what I wanted. And it was at that moment they said, Wyatt Wainwright with the Houston Auto HADA said, that's amazing. We've been looking for somebody to liaison with the police department. What do you need? And I was taken aback. Nobody ever asked the police department what we need.
Right.
At that point, I mentioned, hey, our equipment is antiquated. And Wyatt came through. I mean, the next thing I know, we had brand new equipment that was actually usable. Our stuff that we could use to aid in our investigations, it was fantastic. So over the years, they've been an amazing partner with our Houston Police Department Vehicle Fraud Unit. So the three things that I wanted to accomplish with Wyatt was, number one, we wanted two-way communication. That came in the form of dealer alerts. And I think we're somewhere up in the neighborhood of almost 400 dealer alerts we have put out to the industry. Now they have a way to communicate with us. So if they have a problem, they have a person to reach out to, or people now to reach out to. That's our first thing. It was two-way communication. The second thing we wanted to do was teach and train the industry. So we created a dealership training program as well as a law enforcement training program, because what we found is law enforcement hadn't quite caught up with what is vehicle fraud. In our mind, vehicle fraud is auto theft. Some people look at it as a financial crime. Some people look at it as an auto theft. We look at it as an auto theft because the object of the crime is the vehicle. The means by which they stole it is financial crimes. So we've started taking on a big portion of that case. Our financial crimes started relaying everything they saw, which would come in their world. They would relay that to us as well. So the ball started rolling even more. So we had the ability to teach and train dealerships and law enforcement on what is fraud. And the third tenet of what we wanted in this partnership, we called it a vehicle fraud initiative. The third tenet was being able to have rapid response to fraud in progress. So everybody has a job, and most investigators have a job that's, like 8 to 4. Well, when do dealership cases happen? All the way up till 8 or 9 o'clock at night. We had the ability to receive those phone calls, whereas a lot of investigators turn off their phone at 4 o'clock when they're done, or, like a lot of people, they just, they quit work and they go home. Well, we have the ability to take those phone calls. And then if we can find that there's an active person inside the dealership that is committing a fraud, that's when we send out a patrol. They go detain the person. We find out the backstory to it, and then we can actually make the arrest and charges on that. And we have been extremely successful.
Darren, I think I have an example of the dealer alert. Are you okay if we show kind of
Absolutely, please do.
Okay, yeah, I'm going to pull it up real quick. Wait, is that me?
Exactly.
Sorry.
That's actually one of our most recent ones we did. It was a couple of weeks ago on a random Saturday evening, kind of late in the evening, almost 8 o'clock. That gentleman right there was attempting to buy a $173,000 vehicle from a local dealership. And he had actually a copy of a fraudulent cashier's check that he was going to use for a down payment. So I got the phone call. I confirmed the ID was fraudulent. As you can see in that third photo there, we actually got them in custody. So I went out to the location on what we call a call out, and I started talking and figuring out what was going on, and realized that there's probably more to this, definitely more to this. So late that night, I finished up the case, came back to work on Monday, and one of my investigators, I was showing him what I did, Saturday night. He goes, "Wait a minute, I have another case with a PNC check. Hold on." Went to his desk, picked it up, came back, and we started seeing exactly the same routing number, account number. The details were exactly the same. So that's how we started linking cases together. Well, we did a search warrant on the phones that he had. And then next thing you know, we're seeing fake IDs in that phone. And now we're linking those to additional cases. So at this point, we're probably up to, I think it's about 13 or 14 vehicles with 3 different main suspects. 4 different main suspects that we're looking at now. And it's about 1.6 million right now. And that's only a 2-week-old case. That's when we started. As a matter of fact, last night, another dealership in another city, they somehow or another found out that face that's on the ID from from 2 nights ago, was the same face on our dealer alert. So now we're made aware of a new case, and that was a $85,000 truck that's out on the road somewhere. That unfortunately they just didn't get the full message to be on the lookout for that, and they were taken the same way. But all of them had some sort of nexus with a fraudulent cashier's check, and all the IDs were in one phone. So what does that tell us? The phone that the IDs were in, we were told, was provided to the person who was, we call them crash dummies.
Yeah.
They're crash dummies.
I was going to make sure everybody knew what a crash dummy
crack
was.
addicts or meth addicts of some sort. So, in fact, the guy in that photo that y'all put up there before, he actually is a admitted drug user. So he's making money. The handlers, the people that are taking them around town and getting them to the dealerships, those handlers are the ones that, they try to stay hands off. They drop them off at the dealer and make it look like it's an Uber ride. If they're successful, the guy comes out with the car, they meet up down the road, and they exchange money for keys. So that's kind of the way it's done. And then there's a ringleader usually. Ringleaders are the guys who are setting up everything in the background, getting the fake IDs, getting the fraudulent details so they can fill in the credit applications and put the right information that matches the credit profiles for these identity theft victims. So in this case, we're hoping that we have the ringleader and the handler identified. They're one and the same in this particular case. But that's generally the way these things go, is they get, some crash dummy, who's a meth head. I call them methalopes. The methalopes out there, they're being used. And it's just a symbiotic relationship between the ringleaders and people who are desperate.
So Darren, so they get someone off the street, dress them up, and then send them into a car dealership with the information they need. That's what you're saying happens?
Correct. So it's actually very interesting. It goes even a bigger level than that. So I had a female one time that was the pawn in this scheme. She was a meth head as well. When I went to interview her, she said that the guy that she's working for picked her up from the motel that he provided to her, so she could have a place to stay, have a good night, shower, and be ready. And when he picked her up, he looked at her clothing and said, "That won't do." And it took her to Ross Dress for Less and bought her an outfit that was more conducive to somebody that was trying to buy an F-250 pickup truck.
Yep.
Sure. Well, okay, they say
very common.
They pick them up off the street, dress them up, shower them up, and send them in with the information. As a dealer, how would they know that was a crook or not going into the store?
The interesting story on the guy that we showed earlier is when you see him and he's smiling and he's doing this in the picture, you think he looks like a normal guy till he opens his mouth. And his mouth, he has like 3 teeth in the top row.
Oh, okay.
Meth does that to you, right? I think that if you spend time with the person and you're realizing that, maybe they're tweaking, maybe they're acting weird, maybe they don't know the profile, they don't know the history, they don't know these things. At that point, that's when you should have the red flags and the spidey senses going off. On these remote deals, which are on a remote sign and a remote delivery, the fraud exposure exponentially goes up exponentially. So I always recommend that there should not just be a phone call, should not just be a text message between the customer and the dealership and then send them a car. There needs to be a process. You need to have a plan on how to obtain the ID, how to, as accurately as you can, verify the authenticity of the ID, and have a video interview with this person at some point in time. Because when they're in the store and they're signing for a vehicle, they're very careful. The F&I people are very careful to explain the details, explain the options, explain what they're signing. And it's really unique to me that I don't understand why in a video, in a remote signing process, I hear stories all the time. Well, we sent on the docs, he signed them either digitally or whatever, and then sent them back. I just don't understand how you don't have a conversation. And without that conversation, these people are just, you don't know who they are. You don't know how they found you. You don't know how they came up to your location. Like if you're from Chicago, you're trying to buy a Nissan Altima, you're telling me there's no Nissan Altimas between Houston and Chicago that are for sale closer. Well, talk to the people, ask, how'd you find us? Why'd you choose us? And if they say, I just saw you on the internet, well, that's a problem.
Ask the questions. Ask the questions and show us your teeth.
Exactly.
Well, I mean, look, if we had to just worry about bad teeth, that would be, if we got to be careful. If we say this now, all the dealers are going to say, oh, well, just let me see your teeth.
No, just ask for their dental records, ask for the x-rays, ask for the dental records as part of the stipulations. I think that's a good idea. Sir,
I can sell you this car, but I got to make sure you're not a crackhead. That's good.
Yeah, I mean, exactly.
So Darren, I had a question, tell the audience, like, what do they do? Like typically, like the rings, like what are they doing with the cars when they get them? Because I think we all have a lot of misperception about what actually happens to those things and the chain and like the waterfall of that.
Oh, so that is exactly true. And it's just like the answer is depends, right? So there's a lot of different things that they can do with it. Number one, in most cases, they want to monetize it somehow. So there's a lot of different routes on how they monetize these vehicles. They can put them in a shipping container and ship them to a foreign country. They can drive them across the border, which is very popular down here. They can what we call VIN swap them, VIN clone them. So a VIN swap is where they take a VIN number off of crash vehicles, never going to be on the road again. They mask and disguise the stolen vehicle using that VIN number and then try to get it registered again somewhere else.
Right, especially if that crash vehicle had not been total loss or nobody knew it had been totaled yet.
Right. Well, so you can actually do various things, and it depends on the state. Texas is called a salvage title. So if you take a 2020, truck of some sort that's been crashed, and you have just stolen a 2021, 2022, something close, something that looks similar, body style is the same, you can take that VIN number and buy. Actually, if you go online, there are entities that will sell you the labels. So legal, you can't do it, but it's happening, right? So they'll buy a VIN label kit for that vehicle, apply the labels where they need to go, and disguise that vehicle and try to get paperwork to show it. Now, one of the bigger things, and the reason why I think that fraud is not going away, traditional auto theft for a long time, we were very good with not having mechanically stolen vehicles, because once we started having chipped key, let me back up. In the old days, screwdriver in the ignition, turn the car over, you're going down the road, right?
Yep.
Once they had a chipped key, that added a layer of protection where it had to receive the chipped information to be able to start the car. And that was fantastic for a long time. Key fobs came around, fantastic for a long time. Now there are devices out there that they can remote make a key inside the car. Yeah, basically using a device that hooks traditionally through the OBD port, and you make a key for the vehicle, and you can go driving down the road. It takes anywhere from a minute to 3 minutes or so to program this key, and they're driving down the road. Now, the devices are legal. You can buy them on all your open source locations, and they're designed for small shops to be able to do more for their customers. Like, instead of going to a dealership and spending a lot of money for a key, you can buy a key and have a mobile locksmith or one of these smaller places make it. But what have the crooks done? They've monetized that, and that's what they do. Very frequently, when we find a crook that has one of these key fob reprogramming devices, when we download the information, there's 30, 40, 50 cars in the history. So what do we know about those 30, 40, 50 cars? They're stolen. So we do the research, we follow up, we figure out where they're at, and we do all those type of things. So traditional stolen vehicles are rising dramatically. However, what happens when your vehicle is taken from your driveway? You report it stolen immediately. Mm-hmm. That means there's a clock from the time they steal it to the time they do something with it, because it's actual stolen. And a lot of times they have to damage the car in some way to get inside there. Well, think about fraud. You go into the place, you give fraudulent information. A lot of times all you're doing is just sending some docs and some pictures, and you go in there and you do a signature, a digital or a inked signature, and you drive away. No damage to the car. They hand you the keys to the car to go drive off, and then you have time, in most cases, between the time you obtain the car and the time it's considered to be fraud, that you can work with this thing to monetize it and not be in danger of law enforcement finding you in a stolen vehicle. So I think fraud still is going to have a long history, because it's easy in most cases, and it's something that gives them time to monetize the vehicle without fear of it being listed stolen, as if you take it from a driveway.
Yeah.
So Darren, is there just real quick? Is there I noticed you said truck, you said Nissan. Is there a certain brand, or is it just all brands that are vulnerable to?
It's pretty much all brands, and it depends, where you're at regionally. Texas has a lot of trucks, a lot of SUVs, a lot of 4x4s. Up in the Northeast, it could be like BMWs, Mercedes, and things like that. It's all cars, without a doubt. Anything that has value, they want to steal it, without a doubt. But I would say, particularly your high-end, GMCs, your Denalis, those kind of things are very, very popular. Charger Challengers, those kind of things are extremely popular, especially anything that's like a Scat Pack Hellcat kind of scenario. Extremely popular on those. So it's not only the theft, like straight up theft aspect, but the fraud aspect is about the same equal for what they're going for.
What, Darren, do you ever get in conversations with dealers and their lenders when these things happen?
Oh, absolutely.
And tell me,
all the time.
I'm not asking for specific dealer or bank names, but just give me the general sense of, I suspect they're probably surprised when they, have you there and the bank there, and then the dealer's like, wait, what?
So here's what usually happens. In most cases that we work, there is a situation where the dealer has been made aware by the finance company there's a problem. Either it's identity theft, or something's wrong in the financing, or they discover it's synthetic identity, whatever the case may be. Then they're asking the dealership to purchase back the contract. So of course the dealership's now calling us because they're victimizing all of this. However, sometimes it's in the front end. Sometimes it's they discover it pretty quickly. But most of the time, there's a little bit of time, a little bit of thing. A little bit of a gap from when the car left the dealership and when it's actually discovered to be fraudulent. Now, with that, what we find is, as we look through the contract and we look through the details, it's almost always we should have seen this kind of scenario, without a doubt. Now, the issue is that it's too late at that point. Car's gone, it's out and about, it's rolling around. They should have done more on the front to catch that, then it would have never happened. Very few times in all the cases that I've worked in the past 8 years, which has been hundreds, out of the hundreds of cases that I've worked, I would say that most of the time it's more that can be done. Very few times have I looked at a deal and said, wow, that's good.
Yeah.
So if if the dealerships would just spend more time in working through the process and doing it correctly, I think that we wouldn't have near as much fraud.
Yeah. So, so just time check. We got about. I was going to say we'll go for another couple minutes, then we had something at the end and have some time for questions.
Sure.
I was curious. You and Thane go way back, so I don't know which one of y'all wants to offer the story. I'm hoping that the initial intro had to do something with we were fighting fraud together. Maybe I don't know though. But I'd love to hear kind of a fighting fraud story with you and Thane, or how y'all came together. And obviously you've gotten to know our company pretty well, so we love the partnership.
You want to take it, Thane?
Well, I'll just start it off. We worked with a friend of ours. I don't know if he's watching or not, Tiger Lester, and it was a mutual friend of ours with one of the major groups out there. And he said to me, he said, "You got to meet Darren Schlosser." He said, "You got to come out here and meet this guy." And he said, "You're gonna love him. He's intuitive. He's got a lot of information, and he's a lot of fun to be with." So I immediately reached out to Darren, and then our relationship started. But go ahead, Darren. You can go on from there.
So actually, we met at one of the NADA conferences to begin with, and I had heard people talking about MAVSIGN, and I really was curious to meet Thane, mainly because I'm always looking for something to kind of get more knowledge on, to kind of figure out what's out there, what products are there. Now, of course, I'm not able to say this product is the greatest in the world. I hereby endorse it. I can't do that in my law enforcement role, but I can definitely tell people, like if they ask me, how do I better do this? Well, I'll give them what I can give them, because I don't want them to be a victim, especially, they're coming to me. Usually it's already happened. Well, you could have done this, you could have done that. So there's a lot of great products out there, a lot of things going on. But Thane and I met there, and I just love the concept of what y'all do, especially in the remote signing, delivering world. This type of scenario is exactly what needs to happen. If we don't put some more emphasis on, how to stop it, how to identify the problems, then it's just going to continue. So Thane has been a great friend. We just were able to spend a couple of nights ago. We were able to spend the evening together, go to dinner, and every time he comes, I would like to go and do it again, because he's just that guy. Thane has created an amazing product and his story. Oh my gosh, if you ever get to hear Thane's story from beginning to end, it is just the true dream story. It's America. It's right there. That's the guy. I love him. He's a good man.
Legendary.
Thanks, Darren. Too kind.
So Darren, tell me what you're doing next. So part of this is sweet. So you're going to bigger and better things. Fortunately, I got to meet kind of the new squad coming in to help, and so I think we're in good hands. But I'd love to have you just tell everybody what you're going to do next.
So I'm actually, I've accepted a position after 29 years at the Houston Police Department. I've accepted a position at a place that's a newer state agency. It's only been around a few years. It's called the Texas Financial Crimes Intelligence Center. We call it the FCIC. So the Texas FCIC, what they do is they're an incredible organization that have been crushing organized crime across the state. So they kind of began under the fuel pump skimming, the ATM skimming, fuel thefts, that kind of world. But also, that involves the credit card world. So that's the financial aspect of it. And I was approached with the opportunity to bring my vehicle fraud game into the fold of the FCIC. Great. And with that, I'm hoping that I can have a much bigger impact on vehicle fraud across the statewide level, as opposed to just being Houston. So I feel very, very, it's been an incredible experience here at Houston PD, especially with my leadership that has allowed me to build this the way I could see it. I saw in the very beginning of doing this that I could make a difference. Never in my wildest imagination would I felt it would rise to this. If I would have accomplished half of this, I would have thought it was being exceptional. So just what we've been able to do in this vehicle fraud unit has been phenomenal. The new guys, so my chief announced October last year, without even me knowing, that I was going to get 2 new people. So for the longest time, it was me and one officer. And then we got in April, we finally got everything approved, all the stuff and the hiring and all of that within our agency. And now I have 3 amazing detectives, and the sergeant we got to handpick to take over, Ben LeBlanc, is phenomenal. So I've got Tim Vaca, Dane Garcia, and Kyle McLaughlin. I'm going to give their names out there because they're just phenomenal investigators. Oh my gosh, they're just rock stars in the investigative world. Ben LeBlanc is coming in. He's got investigative experience, and he is a people person. Rudy met him. He is just a very outstanding individual, amazing career. So I feel like I'm leaving it in good hands, but it is my baby, carrying it over and passing the torch.
And you've got outreach too. You've got officers in other states that you work together with, correct? From San Diego to.
What's I think probably my most honored aspect of having had this career so far is that I've had other police agencies that have come to my training, recognized what we do and how it can affect their areas, mainly larger metroplexes, but then they adopt it. So Tarrant County Regional Auto Crimes Task Force, which is Fort Worth, Texas, they jumped on board right away. Austin PD has done it. San Antonio PD is doing it. San Diego, he just sent me a message just about a month or two ago, said, "Hey, I just wanted to thank you for telling me about this and how this is going, because we started our dealer alert system as well."
That's great.
That's probably, out of all the stuff I've done, catching the crooks is bad, but having that kind of impact, that I have other major areas that are focusing.
You've influenced
Illinois, Chicago, Illinois. I've got a real good buddy of mine, Joe Duca, who's with the Illinois Secretary of State, and they do the auto theft task force across the state. He came to one of my trainings in Texas about 4 years ago, and man, they built a partnership with their dealership industry, and they're catching crooks like crazy in Chicago.
And I know as a fact you're speaking in a lot of conventions now. Matter of fact, Darren will be at the Auto Finance Summit soon.
I will.
And I look forward to seeing you over there.
And that's another reason why I took this job. They told me they want me to continue to do the public outreach, the teaching and training of law enforcement and dealership industry and finance industry. They want me to continue to do that. And that was the big selling point, is that they want me to continue doing what I'm doing. Of course, I'll have other responsibilities as well. But with that, I think that sold the job. It really did.
Yeah, well, we want you to keep doing it too, Darren, because you are, obviously, if there was zero fraud, I'm not sure how, where MAVSIGN goes from there.
You would have a job.
Yeah, but that's okay. I think once the dealers are educated, I think they're more aware of the solutions. And I would give one other call out. We're running out of time for comments, but I did see a comment from Alicia Haney. And so if anybody from law enforcement is watching this now, Alicia Haney is our director of fraud. And so she actually works hand in hand with local fraud, law enforcement, such as Darren. I've connected her with San Diego, but anybody that is in law enforcement and wants to correspond with us, and I would assume other companies that do similar things probably also would love to correspond with local law enforcement, but don't just extend that to the dealers. I think the vendors want to help and participate as well. So any of those folks that you want to share, Darren, and connect them with us, we're really happy to help. But so I think if anybody's got serious questions or comments, I don't want to, usually if a dealer's asking law enforcement, hey, I have a friend that this happened to, well, they're probably not going to go spill the beans in this forum. So instead what we did, Thane, I think Thane had something special for you to introduce. So Thane, you want to tee that up real quick, and then that'll close us out.
Well, Darren, I've always appreciated our relationship, and everything you do has been amazing, because you've basically kind of founded this, right, across the United States, and you've influenced other departments to do the same thing. And you're retiring, and you're moving on to bigger, greener pastures. And we want to thank you for that, for everything you've done from the bottom of our hearts, not just us, but all the dealerships out there, for speaking with us and just being there for everyone. I know the dealers that you talk to, because I talk to the same dealers you do. So we want to thank you for that. You talk about my story. You have a story of your own, which is fantastic. So Just really want to, from MAVSIGN, Maverick, and the team of us to you, we want to thank you very much for that.
And Thane, didn't we whip something up for to close this out?
I thought you were gonna do the whipping up of that, but Darren, I think Rudy might have the whip.
Well, Darren, I think we just caught you in the act.
Rudy, are you
the
still
act
there?
of being
Did I lose
awesome.
him?
From all of us at MAVSIGN and everyone in the Houston dealer, lender, and vendor world, thank you for keeping our community safe from the bad guys and making it look easy. You've been our partner in fraud fighting for years, and now you finally get to trade the badge for a well-earned break. Well, not for too long before you start fighting the bad guys at a different level. Congratulations, and remember, once a fraud fighter, always a fraud fighter.
Darren, congratulations on your retirement from your friends at Healthman Dodge. You gave us an award a while ago that says thank you for your steadfast support of the Houston Police Department. We'd like to thank you for your steadfast support of the car dealers in Houston and getting the crooks off the street that are trying to steal the cars and purchase them through fraud. So thank you for your hard work and determination. You made a huge difference.
Darren, thank you very much for your service. I'm just glad whenever we lured these guys in, we never had to use this because we had you to help us clean our streets up. Thank you very much for your service.
That might have been fun to use that, actually.
Darren, Rob Johnson, ISC coverage here. Real proud of you and your immaculate career. We're so grateful to be a part of the program for the last couple of years. My favorite memory was meeting you for the first time at NADA 2 years ago at Thane. You came to our private event, and I'm very grateful that you've crossed our path. Thanks, man.
Hey, Darren, Brett Graham. Just wanted to say on behalf of the dealers in the state of Texas, we sure appreciate everything you've done. You've made Texas an even better place to work and live. Congratulations on your retirement. Congratulations on your new gig, and look forward to continuing to work with you on the state board of the Texas Department of Motor Vehicles.
Hey, Sergeant. This is Tamer with Integrity. Just wanted to take a quick second and thank you for all the years of service. You've given us a lot to thank you for as you're making your way to bigger and better things. We hope to cross paths with you again, and we appreciate all the assistance you've given us, specifically the bulletin you sent us back in January regarding artificial paydown. We remember that bulletin, very, very helpful in educating us as well as our dealer body. So thank you again and wish you all the best. And here's Teresa.
Yep, and we just want to finish up saying congratulations. We're all excited for you. And we know you're going to make and create much bigger things in the future. Congratulations.
Hi, I'm Tina Sink, and I am from Cars to Go in Lafayette, Indiana. We had actually met at an Ignite Consulting training session. And though we are not even in your state, by watching and reading these emails and sharing the information with our staff, I really feel like we have made much better decisions, and we have been able to look out for things that we really weren't aware of before. I think that we have probably curbed some of the issues that we might have had, and we really appreciate it. We wish you all the best.
I'm DMV Board Chair Charles Baccaris, and I just want to say congrats, Darren, on retirement from HPD. That is a great milestone. The good news is you're not retired from our DMV board, where we continue to appreciate your service and love hanging out with you as well. All the best, my friend. We'll see you soon.
For all the help you've given us over the years and your professionalism, what you've done for both Stellantis and fraud in the Houston community. It's been great working with you, and we wish you a lot of success in your future. Good luck. God bless.
Darren, thank you for the friendship. Thank you for all your support, not only to Stellantis, but to the entire community, and good luck on your next journey. Thank you.
On behalf of the Texas Department of Motor Vehicles, congratulations on your retirement from HPD. The good news is you may be leaving HPD, but we're not letting you off the hook just yet. You're still our law enforcement representative on the DMV board, sir. Your expertise and dedication to fighting motor vehicle crime have made a real impact statewide. We really appreciate your dedication, leadership, and support on the DMV board. The best of luck to you, sir, and we'll see you at the next board meeting, my friend.
Hey!
Wow. I don't know who put that together, but
We're not telling.
the best gift you could have ever given me. Thank you.
Well, I would tell you, we actually had a lot of competition. You had a pretty big contact list with some of those fraud alerts and I was at HADA earlier when you weren't there, kind of causing trouble. But there's a lot of people wanted to share their well wishes, and we kind of snipped together, the best ones. But we look forward to doing bigger and better things at the state of Texas level, and we're still gonna call you and hit you up for help. And the more we can all be collaborating with car dealers, I think the better the car business is going to be. So we just truly appreciate it, Darren. And we'll probably have you back on after you get your feet wet in the new gig, and we'll talk about what we're doing there. So just don't turn into a Cowboys fan when you get up there, please.
Oh, no. Okay, so that's not going to happen. But we're good.
So, all right. Well, without further ado, thank everybody for joining. If you have questions and comments and you want to reach out to us directly, we will get you direct access to Darren and let y'all confidentially answer any questions you have. We really don't want to have to be in the middle of that for you, so you can keep it private. But thank you, Darren. Thank you, Thane, for helping me co-host this. Thank you for the folks at Freddie Media for helping us broadcast this. And I hope everybody has a great weekend. And as I like to finish up every conversation, I remind you to be a Maverick. So have a good one.
All right. Thank you, Darren. Thank you, Rudy.
See you guys.
Bye-bye.